So as you know, I have kumquats. I have a ridiculous amount of kumquats. So I did a kumquat harvest and then I gave some away. But I've got to the stage where I've finally got to deal with this. So there's a couple of things I like to do with kumquats. I'm going to make kumquat marmalade out of that lot. G'day folks, Andy here from McDowall Manor. Okay, now the tricky bit is to get the seeds. Now it doesn't matter in the ones you're steeping because they'll just be pulled out anyway, but it does matter enormously in your jam. You don't want seeds in your jam. So what I do is take a kumquat and cut him in half. Voila! And see, you can start and see seeds. Now what I do then is cut that in quarters. So I just go acrosswise now. And that allows me to pretty much spot the seeds and I can dig them out. Now I'm actually keeping the seeds because what you do, they've got a lot of pectin in. So what we're going to do is put them in a chucks cloth and hang that in the side of the jam as we're making it. I'm doing a typical Andy, of course, and I'm measuring nothing because that's what I do. So I'm just going to keep cutting this. I'm not going to bore you with it because trust me, it's one of the most boring jobs in the history of man. I think that'll do. What I'm about to do is blend that up, and that'll, once it's nice and blended, we'll weigh it. And normally the rule is you add the same weight of sugar as you have fruit. Now with kumquats, because it's so bitter, I might even sneak a little bit extra in. There's our seeds and stuff that we're going to tie up and put in the pot as it boils to give us the extra pectin. So you can see that's all been blended up. I have also, try not to swing you too quick, teared off a bowl. So I'm going to put the kumquat, let's call it a paste, in there so I can find out how much it weighs and then we'll add the sugar. Now, as you're transferring, keep a careful eye out because you will find, no matter what, you've missed seeds. Now, given how you saw me sitting there labouring over those kumquats, it's amazing, but yeah, you do. So I have a bit of a dig around and just try to get any last, I can see a bit of one over there too, any last bits. Ended up with just over 1 kilo of pulp. Oh, Jesus, still look. Tiny little seed. Anyway, so I'm going to add 1 kilo of sugar to that. See, that's one hell of a bowl of what's going to be marmalade. Like I say, I'm going to add some ginger to mine. Now, if it's a sweet fruit, you offset that by adding lemon juice. Trust me, that's not my issue with kumquats. It's not sweet at all. So I'm going to add a fair bit of ginger, probably 3 tablespoons, and then we'll put it in the pot to boil. This will become our little seed sachet with a bit of extra skin because there's also pectin in the skin. This will become a little seed sachet and I'm hanging that in the side of the pot. Show you that in a tick. Don't do anything fancy with that. That's the jam base all mixed up. And all I do is throw that in. I'll press it down later when things come to the boil, although it tends to drop in itself anyway. So how much water did I put in? None. You don't be doing that. Alright, here we go. We'll put it on. Really got to get this to what's called a rolling boil. Now, a lot of people have candy thermometers and they do it that way. I don't do that. Get it so that it's almost going to flood out the top of the pot and then you can turn it down and Bob's your uncle. So there it is. Now, you can do what's called a push test to work out whether it's ready. I find it, and that's where you put a bit on a saucer and put it in the fridge so it cools a little bit. Then you should be able to rub your finger through it and it doesn't flow back in. Well, I do a similar thing with the what's on the spoon. You can see that's well and truly setting and it's still quite warm, so I'm confident that's good to go. We're going to bottle her up now. Oh, it tastes good, just quietly. We'll bottle that up. We ended up with 5 bottles, 5 5 times 500 gram bottles, or is it 500 mils? 370 grams, there you go. 5 of those. I don't normally show you how to can them, but I don't have room in the fridge for 5 of those, so I'll show you tonight. So what we're going to do is put this wire thing on the bottom, because you don't want your glass bottles to touch the bottom where the heat is, otherwise they're just going to crack and break. We're going to put a fair bit of water in there, and then we'll put the jars in. I'll show you that in a second. You can hear the pot filling up behind me. What I do is I just hand screw these on. Don't go putting them on too tight, because you need the air to be able to get out under heat. So, you know, firm but not overly tight, and then we'll boil them. You can see they're really just covered, and if you look you are seeing, because it's so hot, mind you the temperatures, there's no flame. So I've just put these in, but the bottles themselves with the jam is so hot you can probably see it moving about and forcing air out. Once we apply a bit of flame under here now, you'll notice we really get some air escape. That's exactly what you want. And then we pull it out and we allow it to cool, and that vacuum seals it. It vacuum seals itself. And once that's boiled, we'll turn it off. We'll let it cool a bit, but the one tool I find you do need is some sort of pair of, this is actually a jam making bottle grabber. You will need something, because these bottles are extraordinarily hot. So these have been boiling away for at least 15 minutes or so, maybe more now. I'm actually going to pull them out and let them cool down. Now you can buy fancy electric canning machines that do everything precisely and, you know, according to the right temperatures. And look, if you can afford that, that's fantastic. I'd certainly recommend that way above what I do, my old dirty old country hick style. But, you know, if you can't, or you're just looking for an easy answer, this has served grannies all across the world for hundreds of years. It should serve me. Do this left-handed so you can see how these tongs work. It's not very successful that way, but you got the idea. I'm about to move it over onto the kitchen bench. The way you can tell they're really good to go is as they cool down, and it takes a couple of hours, but later on in the night I'll hear this click, and it's cooled down enough, and as it's cooled it's shrunk, and so that's re-vacuum sealed all the tops for us. After that I can keep these in the cupboard. No need for refrigeration. They'll last like any shop bought bottle of jam, really. So if you enjoy growing your own, homesteading, making your own, doing things from scratch like they used to do them in the old days, hopefully you're interested enough that you'll subscribe, hit the little dingy bell button, and you'll even find out when a new video goes up. Thanks heaps for watching. Really appreciate all your support, and I'll talk to you later. See ya.